Up on Mornings on the Hill, Syracuse University is showing encouraging vaccine rollout numbers, how the university is reacting, and what students are saying about vaccination options.
Graduation with a twist, how it will look different this year and why preparations are beginning this week.
Plus, SU's Asian Studies program is calling for help. Find out what resources they need and how they'll use them to combat anti-Asian racism.
Those stories and more as Mornings on the Hill starts right now.
Good morning, I'm Rob Flax. Thanks for joining us on Mornings on the Hill.
And I'm Ryan Clark. Let's get right to our top story. Chancellor Syverud has announced that nearly 2/3 of the campus is fully vaccinated. Our reporter Sally Walkup tells us that number is still growing, but students are continuing to weigh different vaccine options. Sally?
The university does expect that these vaccine numbers are even higher due to some people not uploading their vaccine documentation. SU is requiring vaccines starting June 1st for students and staff to be allowed on campus, but they have stopped giving vaccines at the Barnes Center for now.
Offered COVID vaccines at the Barnes Center at the Arch, but stopped when the Johnson & Johnson brand it had been using was paused for an 11-day research period. The government uncovered 15 cases of a rare blood clot disorder caused by the vaccine. The vaccine is back in circulation, but there is no word on if Syracuse will continue to use it. One student who got the Johnson & Johnson shot thinks it should be used because it's just one dose.
It was just a one and done. I'm good to go, and most of my friends haven't even gotten their second dose.
He was not afraid when he heard about the blood clots.
Because it was like 6 people out of 7.8 million vaccines. So the odds of someone having a blood clot from it are incredibly low.
One senior chose to get the Pfizer vaccine after researching her options. The blood clots made her more hesitant of Johnson & Johnson, but she feels confident in the science that got it back in circulation.
And I trust the scientists who are behind it, but I think definitely like educating yourself before you get the vaccine is important.
The pair agrees that researching which vaccine is best for you is key because they think the vaccines are necessary.
We want to get back to normal. We want to get back to doing like college things. I mean, I kind of missed out on my whole senior year of college because I wasn't able to like go out and hang out with my friends.
As of this morning, there were still no new vaccine appointments available on the Barnes Center website, but vaccines are still available at the New York State Fairgrounds and local pharmacies. Reporting live for Mornings on the Hill, I'm Sally Walkup.
Thank you, Sally. Now, the CDC and President Biden announced yesterday that fully vaccinated Americans can unmask at small outdoor gatherings or when dining outside with friends from multiple households. Now, the CDC is urging unvaccinated people to still wear masks at such gatherings, and the agency is still telling the vaccinated people to avoid large indoor gatherings. Now, for those who are fully vaccinated who choose to attend a crowded outdoor event like a concert, parade, sporting event, wearing a mask is still recommended since maintaining the distance would then be difficult. Now, the CDC has yet to define how many people a large gathering actually means. In his remarks yesterday, President Biden used the new mask guidance as an opportunity to urge all Americans to get vaccinated.
The 46th president and SU alum saying, quote, "The bottom line is clear. If you're vaccinated, you can do more things, more safely, both outdoors as well as indoors. So for those who haven't gotten their vaccination yet, especially if you're younger or think you don't need it, there's a great reason to get vaccinated now." And Syracuse University, however, still requires students to wear masks at all times on campus, whether indoors or outdoors. It remains unclear whether SU will allow vaccinated students to take their masks off while walking through campus. And meanwhile, SU students looking to graduate a little under a month. Our own Sierra Ryder is live to tell you what administration says the new COVID-safe ceremony will look like. Sierra?
Okay.
That's right, the newest update to graduation announced via email last week, and that is that graduates can wear their caps and gowns and enter the dome to cross the stage. But there's a catch. It's going to be recorded, and then that recording is going to be played for the convocations all next month. And so far, this effort has mixed reviews.
I don't think it's gonna be like the real thing. I think they're just giving us like a time to like just walk the stage and like pretend like, oh, here's like your chance of doing that now rather than like later. It won't be the same experience that we were promised.
As COVID-19 is still a threat, there are many regulations and rules attendees and graduates must abide by for the in-person commencement. This includes wearing a mask at all times, submitting proof of vaccination or negative results, only 2 guests per student allowed inside the dome, and of course, there will be no in-person school convocations. And with so many rules, one graduate student in the class of 2021 has opted out of the festivities altogether.
My brothers are like still in middle school, so they would have had to come too, and you know, if it's only 2 people, there would have been nowhere for them to go.
Davis says she would have preferred the school go forward with the smaller convocations than the larger commencement.
You know, if it had been the smaller ceremony, like where you actually get your name called and get your diploma in your hand, I think they would have been definitely excited and willing to go. But I think since it's just the larger ceremony, they were kind of like, may not be worth it to fly all the way from Chicago.
And with the challenges COVID has brought upon events like graduation, many are still happy to have some form of a celebration.
What the school is doing, I guess, is like what is the best that can be done right now. So we'll see what happens for like next year.
The master's student I spoke with said that while she won't be participating in the events that happen on the actual graduation weekend, she will be crossing the dome right behind me, the stage inside there, because she wants to wear her cap and gown. Reporting live from Mornings on the Hill, I'm Sierra Ryder.
Thanks, Sierra. Now, the fight against anti-Asian hate begins in the classroom, and the Mornings on the Hill reporter Michael Cortez explains how the Asian American Studies minor here at SU is addressing anti-Asian racism here on campus.
A couple of weeks ago, we saw multiple anti-Asian racism here on campus. The Asian American Studies program is critical in combating racism and educating students, but it is lacking resources.
The Asian American Studies program at Syracuse University has been around for 2 decades and offers more than 30 courses on campus, but the program is in need of more resources.
I think, we need more faculty.
Professor Yingyi Ma is one of the faculty members in the program who come from other departments. The Asian American Studies program is missing a professor who specializes in Asian history.
Program, we need specialists in Asian American history, for example. We don't really have someone to teach Asian American history for our campus. And if you talk to SU students, I think most Asian American students who have taken our courses may be saying that for the first time ever, they have taken courses about Asian American history, but we don't really have specialists.
During the pandemic, close to 3,800 incidences of racial hate against Asian Americans have been reported across the country. The SU campus community has also been impacted by this wave of anti-Asian hate.
The big part of it is ignorance. Therefore, education, not only to students, but also to the general population is really I think the most important solution.
This program provides a tool in not only educating the student population, but combating anti-Asian racism here at Syracuse.
Throughout the semester, there will be programs and events that can help students. Something Professor Yingyi Ma said to me that really stuck with me was strengthening our community. We are every part of the community. Each member can be a contributor. For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Michael Cortez.
And coming up on Mornings on the Hill,
how one SU alumni earned her dreams through hard work and determination to honor a very important person. Stay with us.
Of your full weather forecast. Stay tuned after the break.
Now, new context is emerging around 23-year-old Chavez Ocasio, the man arrested for the murder of an 11-month-old baby in Syracuse.
And our own James Corrigan interviewed Ocasio nearly 6 months ago and shares a personal perspective on the accused killer.
Crime that shook a city to its core. 11-month-old Dior Harris killed in a drive-by shooting on April 11th in the Strathmore neighborhood of Syracuse. The next day, an arrest was made as 23-year-old Chavez Ocasio of Syracuse became public scourge #1 in the city. This was far from the case, however, when I interviewed Chavez in November for an NCC News feature on his turnaround from serving 4 years in prison for burglary to becoming an honors student at OCC.
I changed my life. I went from a street thug to now transitioning to a business guy.
Amazingly, this was not the first time NCC News had interviewed Ocasio, as he was featured 9 years earlier when he was serving time at the Hillbrook Juvenile Detention Center. What were you like then?
Wild young guy.
Ocasio was friendly and cordial on that November day, as he showed me pictures of what would become his daughter, who would be born in March of this year. His girlfriend, Shannon Long, told me her view of the man she loved.
He's caring. He's super determined.
Above all else, Ocasio was hopeful for a future far away from his prior life of crime.
I want a fresh start, so when I go somewhere, I am who I am now. Some people look at me and can't even believe I'm doing this. They're like, this is you. Like, but that's because they know me from before.
That dream now dashed, Ocasio sits in jail today awaiting trial for the murder of an 11-month-old girl. James Cargan, Mornings on the Hill.
Now, sunny skies ahead for Syracuse as the central New York community is gearing up for the second day of 70-degree weather. Our own Doug Cortez is live on the weather deck with your current conditions. Doug, how's it looking out there?
Well, Rob, it's mild outside right now, partly cloudy skies, but more clouds will roll in tonight, bringing in rain. So if you're planning on going out, make sure you have that raincoat handy. Let's take a look at the current temperatures and current conditions. 55 degrees outside in Syracuse with a high of 68 degrees. Humidity is certainly making it feel a little warmer, little to no wind, so it's comfortable right now. But as we take a look at the day planner, rain is on its way. By late morning to mid-afternoon, the rain should be coming down, and it'll last into tonight. Temperature drops back down below 60 later tonight, and there is a chance for some severe thunderstorms tonight as well. So be sure to keep that in mind if you're going out tonight. Taking a look at the 5-day forecast, mild temperatures but rainy all week. Saturday is the only nice day where the sun may break through some of that cloud cover, but rain returns Sunday to round out the week. We'll have your latest forecast coming up in the 11 o'clock show. That's your weather. Back to you guys in the studio.
And for many people, going to college is a bit of a long shot, but for others, just a sliver of hope is all they need to achieve their dreams. Brianna Langlois shows us the educational journey for one Syracuse native that is only just beginning.
Natalie Mooney says her biggest inspiration is her mom. She raised 6 kids by herself.
So hardworking. Like even now she's gonna be 60 and she works way more than she should. And I feel like her sort of, work ethic was definitely passed down through all of us.
All 6 kids went to college.
Being number 5 of 6 kids, I saw all of my siblings go to college. I saw all of them do well. One of my sisters was the salutatorian, another one was the valedictorian. So I feel like just working hard and, doing what you can for school has always been something that's just, been shown to me.
Natalie went to Nottingham High School here in Syracuse. The graduation rate is 73%, well below New York State average of 84%. According to Natalie's experience, the Syracuse City School District's budget is not high enough, and this affects its reputation.
Well, I had a really, wonderful time in high school, but I was always definitely very excited to go to college. I always felt that in some situations it would feel like I was in a place where people were not excited to learn, and so I was always ready to be in a place where people literally pay to go learn, even though I didn't have to pay.
A group called Say Yes offered to foot the bill. It had already paid for 3 of her siblings to go to college, but Natalie wouldn't get the tuition money unless she earned her dream, with determination and good grades.
I was always told, you're going to go to college after high school, you're going to go to college, get a job, start a career and stuff. But it's never talked about the finances that go into that. And honestly, I don't know if I could have afforded to go to school if it weren't for Say Yes, because that covered tuition for me at Syracuse. But for some schools, one school I was looking into, it covered tuition and housing. And So I was almost tempted to go to that school just because it would have been completely free, but Syracuse is great.
Without Say Yes, Natalie doesn't think she would have been able to study at one of the top journalism schools in the country.
I think that just being able to go to Syracuse was such a blessing. I think it definitely played a big role in where I am today.
That passion for learning has taken her far. Now, Natalie works as a multimedia journalist in North Carolina.
And houses of worship, just like this one behind me, will have to limit their capacity to 50%.
She shoots and edits the stories she finds. Then she posts them online and delivers the news on television.
I've had goals, and I always knew that going to college is how I would get to succeed with those goals. So it's just something I've always thought about, and it was never something that I considered to not be an option.
There's one more Mooney sibling to go, who will be graduating from Ithaca College in May. And they owe it all to Mom. In Syracuse, Brianna Langlois, Mornings on the Hill.
And still to come here on Mornings on the Hill.
We'll preview some draft prospects coming out of SU, find out where they may fall in this year's NFL draft.
Welcome back to Mornings on the Hill for your sports update. I'm Taharal. 32 teams, 32 picks. The NFL draft represents hope, excitement, and a time in which combines and pro days are the talk of the sports world. For Syracuse, it's been quite some time since they've had such talent in the draft. Our Matt Majinski takes you inside the numbers of what could be one of the best drafts the Orange has produced in recent memory.
Taha, it's been 2 decades since 3 Syracuse Orange were all chosen in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. Now, since then, plenty of SU stars have made it to pro football's biggest stage, but diving inside the numbers, this year could be extra special for Syracuse.
The prospect of getting drafted in the NFL is very slim. In 2019, over 70,000 players competed in the NCAA. Of that number, just 16,380 were draft eligible. Compare that to the 254 draft picks, and just 1.6% of those players made it to the big leagues. This year, the Orange have a chance to have 3 players drafted, all with legitimate chances in the first 3 rounds. Andre Cisco, Terrell Williams, and Ifeatu Melifonwu anchored a shutdown secondary. Ball available and picked off! And could make this draft historic for Syracuse football.
Teams, obviously, unless you're Alabama or Clemson, don't have multiple guys, let alone at one position, getting drafted. And so for Syracuse to have not only 3 guys get drafted potentially in a year, but also have 3 guys who play relatively the same position get drafted is pretty historic, and something that only the high-level programs of recently have been able to do.
Last night, Andre Cisco posted a video doing football workouts, his first day back on the gridiron since ACL surgery 6 months ago. Cisco's projected by Mel Kiper Jr. as the 7th overall safety heading into the draft, so maybe that timeliness can help out his draft stock a little. For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Matt Majinski.
In lacrosse news, Syracuse men's leading scorer Chase Scanlon was reinstated to the program after getting suspended following a loss against North Carolina on April 17th. Scanlon was not present for Tuesday's practice, and according to reports, the team was prepared to walk out if Scanlon showed up.
Coming up, we'll be recapping the Oscars, the stars who took the red carpet, and the Academy Awards they came home with. Stay with us.
And streaming giant Netflix dominated the Oscars this past weekend, taking home 7 different awards. Our entertainment reporter Brendan Scanlon tells us who else won big. Brendan?
That's right, Ryan. Even after a tumultuous pandemic-affected year for the film industry, the 93rd Academy Awards still took place on Sunday, but it did look a bit different. Some of those differences this year included social distancing and limits on how many people were inside the venue, which was a train station. That's right, the event was live from Union Station in Los Angeles and hosted by the one and only Regina King. Chloe Zhao took home the award for Best Director, and Frances McDormand won her 3rd Oscar for Best Actress, both from the film Nomadland, which claimed Best Picture as well. Yoo Jung-yoon made history as the first Korean performer to win in one of the 4 acting categories. She won Best Supporting Actress for her role in Minari. Pixar's Soul had a big night as well after winning Best Animated Feature and Best Original Score. Netflix was ultimately the winner of the night with 7 trophies, 2 for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, 2 for Mank, as well as 3 other individual awards. And guys, many were disappointed that Chadwick Boseman did not receive a posthumous award for Best Actor after Anthony Hopkins took it home for his role in The Father. Guys, back to you.
Definitely a lot of great movies, and that's going to have to do it for us at this half hour of Mornings on the Hill. I'm Rob Flax.
Rob, always a pleasure, and I'm Ryan Clark. Stick around. A new half hour of Mornings on the Hill starts when we come back.